Whew! Did I get you? If I did, then be sure to pat the subscribe button in order to reassure it so that it can start believing in itself. If I didn't get you, then I'd still urge you to please pat that subscribe button because it really needs love and support right now. And proper patting should result in it getting a bell friend right next to it in order to help it get through this tough time. As I'm sure you're all aware, there has been a glitch from the recent Earth server update, and that has been spreading throughout all the main 6 player bases, and the devs haven't said when the patch can be out yet, but the most optimistic estimates have been placing it around a mid-2021 vaccine update. Before the quarantine update, there was only 2 ways to meet other players, online or offline. And now that the latter is no longer available, people who haven't invested enough points into the tech stability skill tree have found themselves having a difficult time in the current meta. So I've made this video in order to help those who have difficulty adjusting into this new meta and understand the art of sliding into the DMs. So let's start with the first step. What measures can you take in order to increase your chances in successful DM sliding? Enter the prep phase.
Prepping.
Be at least innate or extremely wealthy.
Scouting.
Now that you've hopefully taken the steps in order to increase your chances, we can now discuss how to decide a target, a person whose DMs you'd like to slide into. There are all kinds of applications that you can use in order to slide into those DMs. I personally like to group them up into the following categories: Instagram, every dating app ever, and RuneScape. I'm going to be focusing on the first 2 because the RuneScape meta hasn't really changed since the quarantine update. It's mostly because the player base is comprised of shut-in nerds. Dating apps tend to be much more straightforward because the system is already built on the foundation of a system where there is mutual agreement of you sliding into someone's DMs. This means that when you actually message someone, instead of a 100% ghost rate, it's only 95. On the other hand, Instagram serves as a place where sad people can post pictures where they pretend to be happy in order to find temporary solace in the form of hearts. If the person you targeted on Instagram does not follow you back, you get allocated into the request column, which makes it far easier to ignore a simp like you. On the other hand, on dating apps, if you don't match, you're gone. Despite all that, when thinking between Instagram and dating apps, there really aren't that many differences. Everyone only ever posts pictures of themselves. People write bios where they put their astrology sign and a flag emoji that no one ever reads, and you get rejected on both of them anyways. So now that you've selected someone, we can now proceed to
research.
When it comes to dating apps, you really only have to go off of their bio because that's all you have. So if you're too lazy to read, in general you could just say, "I like The Office too," or, "Oh, I'm also only just looking for friends," because that fits about 90% of their bios anyway. On Instagram, however, you're not only limited to if they're a Sagittarius or not, but instead you can go off of their photos or their tagged photos. I personally suck at stalking on Instagram, but I've seen whizzes who figured out what someone said to their middle school teacher 17 years ago, or what they dreamt about that one night in the summer of '69 through tagged pictures. And that person went on to become the host of Hot Ones. So basically, you should try avoiding not knowing what to say next, and having an engaging topic can help with that. Although you shouldn't really overthink what you're gonna say to someone, it doesn't hurt to have a safety net in case you run into a dead end. Once you've armed yourself with the knowledge of their favorite band that you don't listen to, you can now proceed with
the slide.
Even though everyone has their own reasons for starting to DM in the first place, in general, we can measure the success depending on if they've successfully transitioned onto a dedicated texting app. For example, WhatsApp, Telegram, or Line. You can try sliding in using a prepared opener based on the stalking that you've done as a sort of Trojan horse for the fact that you don't have a personality. Context usually helps in preventing the awkwardness that usually arises when trying to initiate conversation. A great example of this are Instagram stories. Reacting to an Instagram story helps provide a prepared context from the receiver's story. This way, the receiver doesn't know that you like them because you texted them out of nowhere. Instead, they already knew because while stalking them, you accidentally liked their picture from 3 years ago. If you somehow successfully manage to shift into a dedicated texting app, a good way for two people to be intimate online is through calls and video calls. Much like a date in real life, I recommend that you do activities in order to keep yourselves occupied, such as playing Gartagayo or Rocket League. This way, you prevent short pauses or awkward pauses from starting to pop up because you guys are naturally doing something, it doesn't feel as awkward. However, I refrain from playing games like Dota unless you want to hate the person after you play. Although I was never a big fan of calling prior to the quarantine update, I've found myself growing rather fond of it now. Because if I were to get stood up in a date in real life, I would have wasted my time, my money, and developed trust issues. Whereas if I were to have someone not answer my video call, then I can just sleep in. Of course, first I'd need to get a date. Eventually, however, if you manage to hunker down through this quarantine update and you met in real life, you'd soon realize that you never really know someone until you meet them in person. Maybe you'd enjoy it, maybe you won't. There's a lot of uncertainty. In the end, it's your happiness that matters. And maybe sliding into the DMs just shows that we have an Achilles heel called loneliness. I guess what I'm trying to say is that girlfriends are temporary, but waifus are forever. Hey, congratulations on making it to the end of the video. So yeah, I was gonna upload a sketch thing on Thursday and I missed it because I wasn't satisfied with the script that I made, and the script's quality was equivalent to how we're handling safety protocols for this virus. And so basically, there's no clear vision and it's not done well. Not even close. Here's another video in case you want to check it out, and check out my social medias down below because it will prevent hair loss. No, I'm not lying. Yeah, so, ay, dada.